open session. Chair Patterson, Polly Sunday presiding. God bless the United States, state of Tennessee, and Monroe County.
Mr. Winters, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Dear Father, we want to come to you. We want to thank you for this day, dear Father. We want to thank you for this group. And dear Father, just help us and lead us to where we'll do the right thing for our county, dear Father. Dear Father, I know we're going into the season where you shed your blood on this cross, dear Father. Let us look towards that, dear Father, because today we need to be praying towards you and reaching out to our neighbors, dear Father. And dear Father, just watch over us tonight. We'll do things that be pleasing to you. Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Chairman, Commissioner Thomas, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
President. Dan Earhart.
Here.
Brian Harrell.
Here.
Craig Miller.
Here.
Adam Reynolds.
Here.
DJ Silver.
Present.
Paulette Sunday.
Present.
Roger Thomas.
Present.
Travis Slade.
Present.
And David Winters. You off the roll already, your first
I'll say here twice.
Mr. Mayor.
Always one of my favorite parts of our meeting is recognizing special guests and special accomplishments, and this is a little bit different flavor this month. In fact, one of our commissioners actually discovered this young man and his talents, and certainly we want to recognize talent in Monroe County, and I think that's something that's very interesting, that Monroe County has a lot of shining, bright talent in a lot of areas. Now, I don't know about you, but there's not many people that can say that they have performed on the Grand Ole Opry. Now, I've been to the Grand Ole Opry, but not many people have performed on the Grand Ole Opry. This young man that we're going to recognize tonight has performed multiple times on the Grand Ole Opry. Wyatt, if you will come forward, and anybody that wants to come with you, we're very excited that, of course, Nashville is the place for music, and Mr. Wyatt Ellis has come to join us this evening. I'm going to read a proclamation. It's going to be a little bit about his history and background. Well, first of all, glad to have you tonight, Wyatt.
Glad to be here.
Okay. It says, whereas East Tennessee and Monroe County are rich when it comes to the history of country music and specifically bluegrass. And whereas musicians like Burkett, Uncle Josh Graves are proud to call Monroe County home. And it is promising to me that another young Monroe County artist is being recognized for his accomplishments in bluegrass music at the national level. Wyatt Ellis has made his name for his exceptional talent playing on the mandolin. I tell you, that's great, isn't it? At the age of 10, Wyatt began his journey that led to many places that only many of us dream of. His achievements have extended performing at venues and events large and small, and he made his debut on the Grand Ole Opry in February 2023 alongside Daly and Vincent. In November 10, 2023, he received a well-deserved standing ovation for his solo debut on the Grand Ole Opry, solidifying his place in music history at the ripe old age of 14. Wyatt has released his album entitled Happy Valley. Billboard magazine has acclaimed Ellis as a sterling newcomer in bluegrass, and it's a testament that his single, Grassy Cove, soared to #1 on the bluegrass charts, followed by a single, Get Lost, debuting at an impressive #5. A devoted admirer of Bill Monroe, Mr. Ellis has been privileged to learn from iconic musicians such as Bobby Osborne, Mike Compton, transitioning from a solo performer into stages, whereas there are other Bluegrass Hall of Famers. And White has displayed his dedication through craft and various milestones and participation in Tennessee folklore, apprenticeship with Sierra Hull, being recognized as the Gibson Generation Group Artist under like Paul Brewster, and earning a scholarship at the Bobby Osborne Kentucky School of Bluegrass, participating in the IMBA Music Awards for Peter Rohan's induction into the Bluegrass Hall of Fame. Contributing to this Ellis Theater grand opening with Marty Stewart, along with other notable appearances. So Zach, therefore, tonight, I'd like to therefore recognize you on behalf of the Monroe County Commission as White Ellis Appreciation Day. Congratulations. Congratulations. Let's get a picture. The Grand Ole Opry has nothing on this standing ovation. You want to say anything?
Oh man, thank y'all so much. This means so much. I mean, I've been inspired by this area ever since I started, just learning to play the mandolin. And another Monroe County native, Justin Moses, produced my album.
Okay.
So just thank y'all so much. It's really special.
Thank you, Commissioner Wade, for covering. Yes.
One more thing that maybe you don't even know. Tell them whose album that's coming out this fall.
Oh yeah, I'm
What you're
actually
playing.
playing the mandolin on Bobby Osborne's final album. He didn't get to play the mandolin before he passed away, so I'm playing it on there. That's pretty
And it's a song y'all might not have heard of before.
Rocky Top, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations again.
You want to play something really quick?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. Put this on here.
He's going out to open for Marty Stewart 3 nights.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And he started in the pandemic. I don't know if y'all got that.
Oh man. So I'll play an original tune that I wrote looking over the Smoky Mountains from our front porch one day, and this one's called Blue Smoke. It's an instrumental.
have the minutes
That's
from our February meeting, and there's two sets of meetings. We'll have the first one just on the February meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve? Roger and Travis, second. All in favor? Minutes from the March 12th meeting to appoint Commissioner David Winters. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Danny Everhart and Brian Harrell. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Next is our notary public. Do I hear a motion to approve the Travis? Do I hear a second? Brian? Harold? All in favor? Any opposed? Next is our trustee trial balance report. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, Craig Miller, second by William Cross. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution 0326-04, Monroe County Finance, and her journal listing. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Okay, DJ Siler, motion, second by Danny Everhart. Roll call, please.
William Kraus. Danny Everhart. Brian Harrell. Craig Miller. Adam Reynolds. DJ Silent. Paul Watson.
Aye.
Roger Thomas. Travis Slade. David Winters.
Next is resolution number 0326-6, and this is Monroe County Other Facilities Department being made in the Monroe County General Fund budget for the fiscal year 23-24 to pull money from the reserve and to bring sponsorship money in for the upcoming Monroe County Rodeo. The amount is $6,893.50. Do I hear a motion? It fails for lack of a motion. Yes.
You skip public comment?
Oh, yes, the public comment. I'm sorry, I did.
Are we back now?
We don't have any public comment.
There are
Nobody's
no
here
public.
today.
Okay,
Just want to make sure.
Would you please read this again, Madam Chair?
okay.
Number 6, 3.
This is 0326-6. I'll start. Be it resolved by the Monroe County Board of County Commissioners meeting in regular session, March 26, 2024, that the following amendment for the Monroe County Other Facilities Department be made in the Monroe County General Fund budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024, and this is to pull money from the reserve and to bring sponsorship money in for the upcoming Monroe County Rodeo. And I'm assuming 2,000 was the sponsorship, and then 4,893.50 was coming from fund balance.
No, it's not fund balance. It's a reserve from the money we made last year's rodeo. This is not county money, this is fairground money.
What line does that come from, Gil? I mean, that money that's in reserve. I mean, this is all.
Make a motion
to
If you want to discuss it, you need to make a motion.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to.
Okay, motion by Travis, second by Danny.
And then
Okay,
discussion.
now discussion. On the form, it says fund balance.
No, it says decreased reserve 34610 committed for general government. The $4,893.50 is on the balance sheet. There's a reserve for the revenue that we made last year. So it goes on the balance sheet and it's on the line item. And then when it comes time for the next rodeo, we pull the money down off the balance sheet so we can use it for this year's rodeo,
So is money generated at that place?
for the
The
specific.
community
purpose.
came there and bought tickets and this is that money?
Yes, we can't use it for anything else.
And this money, so when this fair is over with, or rodeo or whatever, does this money go back into that line item?
Yes,
It doesn't go to the regular general fund, it just goes into that reserve exemplary for this.
yes,
Okay. And the money you're asking for tonight, or Mitch is asking for, is coming from that reserve line that you've already got established,
yes,
with money already inside of it.
yes.
How much money's already inside of that line?
It's $4,893.
That's all it's in that?
That's all it's in there.
That's all it's in it? Okay, that was just a question.
Yep.
Thank you.
How much again, again? 4,000?
$4,893.50.
Where's the other revenue coming from?
Sponsorships, people donating money.
So on the second page though, it says fund balance and liabilities, deferred inflows of resources and fund balance.
That's just the total that's in there. That's just out of our
Okay, so-
system. The 34610 is committed for general government fairgrounds expo center. So it just gives you a total at the bottom that's in there.
Okay, but it says total fund balance and then liabilities, deferred
Right.
inflows
That's-
of resources and fund balance.
That's just the total that's in that line. It's not actual fund balance.
Okay.
Fund balance has
Roll
another
that into
code.
the general fund.
Yes.
For the specific purpose, and then roll out again.
For that specific purpose of.
To be used for the fair, and then at the end of the fair, roll back in.
Yes.
Roll call.
Willie Kraus. Dan Earhart. Brian Harrell. Craig Hill. DJ Silent. Paul Son.
Aye.
Roger Thomas. Travis Slade. David Flynn.
Resolution 0326-6A, be it resolved that the Monroe County Board of County Commissioners meeting in regular session, March 26, 2024, that the following amendments for the Monroe County Local Health Center Department be made in the Monroe County General Fund budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024. This is to pull money from the reserve for a Community Anti-Drug Coalition of America, CADCA conference. And it's in the amount of $5,585.52. Do I hear a motion? DJ Siler, second by Travis. Roll call.
Willie Kraus. Dan Earhart. Brian Harrell. Craig Hill. DJ Silent. Paul Son.
Aye.
Roger Thomas. Travis Slade. David Flynn.
Resolution number 0326-6B, be it resolved by the Monroe County Board of County Commissioners meeting in regular session that the following donation from Plantation Calendars be made in the Monroe County Sheriff's Department budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024, and it's in the amount of $1,000. DJ, second by Travis. Wade, roll call please.
Willie Kraus. Dan Earhart. Brian Harrell. Craig Hill.
DJ Silent,
Aye.
Paulette Summey,
Aye.
Roger Thomas,
Aye.
Travis Wade,
Aye.
David Lee.
Aye.
Resolution 0326-6C, be it resolved that the following amendment be made in the Monroe County Sheriff's Department budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024, moving SRO grant money from fund balance to spend all the grant funds. The grant came into the county in July and extra funds rolled to fund balance, and we have to show the entire $750,000 is spent. The total amount is $24,390.43. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Brian Harrell?
Question?
Roger? Yes.
This 24,000, we're giving approval to move it, but there's been no equipment bought with it yet?
No, well, they bought, let's see, $329.16 in gun safes, and they spent $500 in travel for a conference, but that's it.
Right, so this says that we have to approve this so that it shows money we spent, so we don't have to give it back to the state.
Right.
When are we spending this 24,390.43
They'll
so that
probably,
we can prove we bought something?
they'll probably pull a PO after you approve it tomorrow.
Okay,
They're waiting on you.
all right, and then we'll approve the purchase at another time?
No, you're
Or not?
approving it. You're
Once we
approving it.
approve this, they're done.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
William Kraus, Dan Earnhardt, Brian Harrell, Craig Miller, DJ Silent,
Aye.
Paulette Summey,
Aye.
Roger Thomas,
Aye.
Travis Wade, David Lee.
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 0326-6D, be it resolved that the Monroe County Board of County Commissioners meeting in regular session March 26, 2024, that the following amendment for the Monroe County Jail in the total amount of $58,852 be made in the Monroe County Jail's budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024. And this is for a Tennessee mental health transportation grant, and it's a 100% grant in the amount of $58,852. DJ
Second.
Silent, second Brian Harrell. Roll call, please.
William Kraus, Dan Earnhardt, Brian Harrell, Craig Miller, DJ Silent, Paulette Summey,
Aye.
Roger Thomas, Travis Wade, David Lee.
Resolution number 0326-6E. It's a resolution to allow the Monroe County Sheriff's Department to donate surplus property to the Hopewell Volunteer Fire Department. It's a 1996 Carolina skiff boat, model number 1765, serial number EKHD 1871H596, and a Mercury outboard 60 horse motor. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Danny Everhart, Brian Harrell. Thank you, guys. Roll call.
William Kraus, Dan Earnhardt, Brian Harrell, Craig Miller, DJ Silent,
Aye.
Paulette Summey,
Aye.
Roger Thomas, Travis Wade, David Lee.
Resolution 0326-6F, a resolution authorizing a multi-year fax machine lease purchase and maintenance agreement for the Monroe County Circuit Court Clerk. Do I hear a motion? Travis? Second, Craig Miller. Roll call, please.
William Kraus, Dan Earnhardt, Brian Harrell, Craig Miller,
DJ Sauer,
Aye.
Paul Sonny,
Aye.
Roger Thomas,
Aye.
Travis Wade, David Winters.
Resolution number 0326-6G, a resolution to grant approval for the Monroe County Mayor's Office to submit an application to the Department of Agriculture for an ag tract cost share fund. And the grant is $1 million, up to $1 million, but it's a 75-25 match. Do I hear a motion? Fails for lack of a motion. Next is resolution number 7, and this is Monroe County Board of Education budget amendments. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
DJ Sauer,
Second.
Craig Miller. Roll call, please.
William Powell, David Earnhardt, Brian Harrell, Craig Miller, DJ Sauer,
Aye.
Paul Sonny,
Aye.
Roger Thomas, Travis Wade, David Winters.
Next is resolution number 0326-8, Monroe County Highway Department proposed roads to pave in 2024 and 2025. And we have a list of 9 roads for the county, and then state aid roads are Sands, Hotwater, Epperson, and New Providence. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Roger Thomas,
Second.
Brian Harrell, roll call.
William Powell, David Earnhardt, Brian Harrell, Craig Miller, DJ Sauer,
Aye.
Paul Sonny,
Aye.
Roger Thomas, Travis Wade, David Winters.
Next is 326-9, a resolution to approve federal project budgets as received from the Tennessee Department of Education. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
DJ Sauer,
Second.
David Winters.
Yeah, could you explain this, please?
Yes, I sure
Thank
will.
you.
I was gonna ask if you wanted me to. I know some of you are still pretty new on the commission, so this is just referring to federal funds, which is our 142 budgets only. So 142 budgets on the school side is federal funds. It's federal through the state. It's in the state website. We have to spend the money and draw it down. It's approved by the state before we can spend any money. So what happens is they approve the budget, the beginning budget. We do monthly drawdowns. And then if we have any amendments, we have to do them in the system. There's somebody at central office, a supervisor, that does the amendments in E-Plan. That's what the state system's called. So it is then approved by somebody in my office in finance. Then it's approved by the director of schools. And then it is approved by someone at the state. So it goes through all those channels, and then we write it up, print everything off, take it to the school board, they approve it, and then we have it approved by you guys. So sometimes it takes forever for us to get an amendment done and passed. So about 2 months ago, the Department of Education got with the comptroller's office and decided, since this is so controlled, there's really no sense in the school boards having to approve it and the county commissions having to approve it after the state's already approved it. Because the state tells us how we have to spend the money anyway. It's not really a local decision anymore. So this will help us be more efficient in what we do as far as budget. So I'm gonna treat these budget amendments like I do ours. So every amendment that we do, I will print them a report, and they will see that in the monthly packet, and then hence I will give that to you in your monthly packet. So you can still see the ins and outs of what's going on and be transparent, but there's not really a need for you to have to approve it because the state, whether you approve it or not, the state's, that's their final word.
And so this has already been approved in the budget. None of this increases their budget or moves money into other lines or anything. This is that budget, and that's it.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
William Cross. Daniel Hart. Brian Harrell. Craig Miller. DJ Simon. Paul Sunny. Roger Thomas. Travis Wade. David Wade.
326-10, we have Judge Dwayne Thomas and Court Clerk Dwayne Martin to speak to us regarding storage issues.
I have a bad reputation of talking too much, so I'm not going to tonight. I'll keep everybody here all night. I would like to say, young man, one, be very proud, but we ought to all be proud. This is what Monroe County kids can do if we give them support. I'm really proud of you. And I can't play the radio, so that was awesome. So it's a great job. Dwayne has got you some handouts.
Okay, so I went down to the annex, and everybody, do y'all think that's an empty building down there? I kind of got the impression y'all think that's an empty building, the annex, the old jail annex. So we're using that for storage. So it's got all of my files that I can't get rid of ever. It's got all of Teresa's files, there's trustee stuff down there, register of deeds, and none of these things can ever be destroyed. So this is what it looks like. And I just did one set, and y'all can just pass them down. So whether or not y'all decide to sell it or we're gonna use it for the workhouse, for the sheriff, whatever, we gotta come up with a way for us to store our stuff. I can't ever get rid of them, I can't destroy them. We purge every year what we can. So it's a lot. It's very voluminous. So I don't have the room in my office to keep them. And some of it has to be kept under lock and key, like juvenile files and evidence, anything that's ever been presented in a trial that I can't get rid of yet, like guns and things like that. That has to be under a lock and key. Now I have a safe in my office, but it fills up fast. So this is older stuff. And then I have to do like the sheriff, a destruction and all that. So I inherited a lot of it. And we'll go through that once the DA's office gets settled down. I gotta have that. So we came up with an idea for our storage problem for files and juvenile stuff. So this picture printed out dark, but
So while she's handing those out, one thing that she mentioned is the juvenile files. Back before Christmas, we kind of had a minor meltdown because nobody can access juvenile files. To do so is a felony. If I don't sign an order authorizing somebody access to a juvenile file, it's a felony. We have folks going in and out of the juvenile file room freely and basically committing felonies every time they open the door. So without an order from the court, it is a felony to access those files. Now, criminal court matters, anytime an extra person walks in to where evidence is stored, you run the risk of losing your case. No matter how good your other proof is, there runs a risk of that case being thrown out because there's a chain of evidence issue. Anytime evidence is touched, and when we say touched legally, touching is being in the presence of the evidence. Anytime you're in the presence of that evidence, if you're not accounted for being in the presence of that evidence, it is a tarnishment to the quality of the evidence. So, little sneaky people called defense attorneys, which I used to be one, make their bread and butter by filing those chain of evidence. And you always hear the thing that was thrown out on the technicality, that's the technicality. So we have, I'm not saying we've done things bad in the past, that's not what I'm saying. But our county's grown so much, and our courts have grown so much. We used to be able to store 40 years of juvenile files in a 4x4 room. I can't store a month worth of juvenile files in the 4x4 room that was set aside for it. We fill that up that quick. And there's so much with those, all the new confidentiality rules, and I say new, 1996 is when all of them went in. They've been updated since then with bigger teeth being the felony charge. We're getting into a situation we're going to put ourselves in trouble because if the auditors come in, they see this stuff sitting out, we pay. And when I say we, that's the royal we, not me. I've got immunity. So it happens though, and they do. They go in and they find counties over storage issues. So you look at this, and I know everybody in the county has a bad taste in their mouth over at least one thing that happened when we built the Justice Center. I'm telling you, as the person who uses it the most, 5 to 6 days a week, 8 to 15 hours a day sometimes, it works, all right? I'm not here griping about that. We needed that facility, we built it. But I don't want to get us in a situation of having to go through another 10-year process to add in what we're needing. And then when we get there, we have to look at what we're going to need another year away because of that process. So the folks that do this are based out of Knox County, this company. Lots of companies, you can get on the internet, there's 50 of them. But this one, they just had to be out of Knox County, so I gave them a call, just talked to them. These are the metal buildings. Of course, they can make it the outside to what you want it to look like. You tell them what your specs are. And what we were thinking is, we just bought the property surrounding the Justice Center. At the front, if you're looking at the front of the Justice Center, coming from the Sweetwater side, that entrance to the Justice Center, to the gated entrance, we have that flat area there. It's already actually been leveled and prepared. It's actually not within that part that we bought, but it's on this side of the power lines going through. These metal buildings are like what they put up for churches, office buildings, that type of thing. They're basically an empty shell, and you construct inside what you want. They're very cost effective. They can mirror what we've done with the Justice Center, so it will look nice from the road with a brick facade and metal for the rest of it, but it's an empty shell, and then we build in what you need. Well, what we're proposing is, and this is all rough, I just did this sitting at my desk without doing much else, but I drew out just a basic floor plan. And the basic floor plan works out to be about 120 foot by 40 foot. And what that would actually give, and again, I did this with a pen, and I was using a book for a ruler. But the center part would be a storage facility for the circuit court clerk. There's a boxed off area of that, you'll notice here. Again, all rough ideas, but that would be a locked, secure facility for juvenile files especially. She would still need to have an area blocked off to do her evidence storage. Pre-trial evidence storage is much more important than post-trial evidence storage. Pre-trial evidence storage, once we get through the trial, convictions there, we're preserving everything for the Court of Appeals. That's nowhere near as strict as the pre-trial area. So she could have an area to move things out of just into general storage boxes, which would be the remainder of the area. Doesn't have to be air-conditioned space. Just needs to be insulated and watertight. So there's no need necessarily to go through a long process of having 15 different people submit to what a storage building is going to be. But the reason that we've kind of gone a little bit over is this area. I made a slight miscalculation when starting my YSO program. I didn't really consider that we were going to have office time that I need to have somewhere to work with these folks at. We have no office space for them. We work them out of the schools. But they don't work the school schedule, they work my schedule. my schedule is a lot longer than the school schedule. So we, holidays, summers, we're still working. We don't take off for the summers, we actually work our camp program. But we also do weekly things. I need a space for them to have meeting areas. We've also run into a big problem with having my supervisor of juvenile services and my probation officer inside the main courtroom. I'm not supposed to have kids around adult criminals or anyone charged with an adult crime. I'm bringing them in to the front of that building every day. We've got kids coming in there that are charged with something, so they're being seen. We're still a small county, although we're growing greatly. People know names, they talk, and all of a sudden my confidentiality is out the window. It's gone. What I'm proposing is we have two small offices that we use for youth probation and the supervisor for youth services. I'm proposing we move them into one end of this building and create a 40 by 40 space. And in that 40 by 40 space, I really want to do just kind of a cubicle area for my YSOs because they don't need daily office space. There's no reason to have a blocked off area for them individually. They can have a cubicle area. Have a couple of offices, private offices for the YSO and the probation officer because they do need to meet confidentially with children. And then have a joint room there shared where the YSO can take an individual child in. But you'll notice on this side, still got a few rooms blocked off. And this is a proposal I would make to the commission that will pay dividends now, but will definitely pay dividends in the future. Right now I'm paying $200, well, up till January the 1st, I was paying $125 a night to store, that's the bad word, to house the juvenile offender in Blount County. Law enforcement calls me, I determine whether there's legal grounds to hold them, risk to the public, risk to the child, and if there is, law requires that I place them in custody. We do not have a juvenile holding facility in Monroe County. For a long time, that was on purpose. We didn't want one. We didn't want any reason to hold a child here because of liability. Because they have to be sight and sound isolated from any adults. You can't even have trustees serve them food. Trustees can't see them, be seen while they're cleaning, anything like that. So we've always done that. January the 1st this year went to $200 a night. It's kind of highway robbery in a way, but they control it because Blount County's the only one we got. It's close. I can go to Knox County, it's more, it's $225 a night. Or I can go to Bradley County, it's more, it's $225 a night. So they're still giving me the best deal. But we pay that per child per night. And it gets exorbitant. I think I had 10,000 in that line item up to last year. Last year I increased it to 12. Amount of money right now, but I've got places I can move it. We're good for the rest of this fiscal year. But it goes quick. And I can't tell you from one year to the next if it's going to go quick. I'm very picky how I use that. I don't put kids in custody. If I've got a parent that I feel can handle the situation, we send them back home. I want parents to parent. That's not my job is not to take them out of the picture, only if they can't do what they're supposed to do. But then we have certain crimes that, for the safety of the community, I have to house that child. I'm just going to tell you all, one is you'd be shocked and very saddened if you saw what's on my docket at juvenile court. But I can tell you I have right now more sex offenses pending in juvenile court than adult court. I have more sex offenses in my juvenile court than I do in my general sessions criminal docket. I have 2 attempted murders. We did get our last murder. Child charged with murder is gone. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. We're going to have to deal with this. So what I'm proposing is we set up within this 40 by 40 space 2 holding cells. I have YSOs now that are on salary. I can watch a lot of these kids here. As long as they're not a violent offender, which by law we're not a violent, to build the facility for a violent offender would be way too much. And we need to probably continue to facilitate that through Blount County. But a lot of these ones which are the unruly offenses, but they're out of control unruly, those I could house here using my staff to watch it. I can feed them from Wendy's if I have to, but I can get to the jail, will take care of making the food. I just use my people to serve them. My people supervise them. That would be for these ones where I'm having to keep a kid from a Friday to a Monday because I have to do that under the rules of procedure, under rules, I have to give time for attorneys to talk to them before I can dispose of the case. Things where I can't send them into state custody if that's the case, or I'll be honest, there's some kids I need to get their attention. And the best way I can get their attention is put them in a this is 8x8, but an 8x8 room, take away every toy they have, and make them sit and watch a concrete wall for a night. And if I could do that and not have to pay $200 a night to do it, I could cut off a lot of the problems that we're having. Now, I'm not going to solve everything tomorrow by doing this, but there's a lot of kids, if I can get their attention, snap them back into reality, I can work with the rest of them. I can make them sweat. That's not a problem. So I can put them to work and we can get that out of them. The reason why when we were talking about doing this, that it would also be very effective for us to do it as a building over at the Justice Center is one, her clerks will be able to access files we need for court, because there are times, especially in juvenile courts, in the family courts, and in criminal courts when appeals come up, that we have to access older files that are still in archives. She has no way to store all of the current files there. We would be able to securely store juvenile files on facility, which is important for us when we get audited. Right now, because we do have them scattered everywhere, and I'm going to say this on behalf of the girls that work for her. That's bad. We got one guy that works there. But the folks that work for her, it is misery when the auditors show up to run them from place to place to place and say, well, this is 1996 to 1997, except for the month of July, which we think's over in this building. If she had a way to store this to where we can account for it, it'll make our audits look better, which increases the money we get to keep from state fees. All of those things, it'd be much easier to do, plus we're more securely storing these things. People have a right to access their files. It's very important for juveniles that join the military to be able to access their files. One of the few things that come up, well, not few things, one thing that comes up often is kids that go to join the military. They get to basic training and they're told, well, you have a juvenile record, that law doesn't apply to us, we want to see it, and they're held back. The kid's had some problems, done well, 2 years later goes to get a driver's license because they want to start college or start trade school. They can't get it till they get clearance from me. That file's over in archives. It takes 2 or 3 weeks to get it. Now, what kid do you know plans 2 or 3 weeks in ahead for anything? They're coming to me the day before they need it to get into the trade school or the school they're trying to get into. So that type of thing would make it more efficient, plus safer. There is a little end down here I included for myself, but at some point, I've got, at this point, over half of our files, or my files, probate files. I'm the probate judge too, so those records must be maintained forever. We've got to store those somewhere, and they're scattered again, and when they need to find something, it really is hard. All of these records that we've been able to manage for years, it's getting unmanageable. If we continue to use a hole here or a hole there or a building not prepared for it, we're going to have a problem at some point. Auditors are going to catch up to us. Damage to it is going to catch up to us. We've got to somehow address it. So this kind of started as a conversation between us when we thought that building was going away, and we got really worried. It became more of a conversation of what are we going to do over the next 5 to 10 years of storing this stuff. We're generating paper. I mean, we're keeping Bowaters in business because the state keeps telling us we're going electronic. It never happens. We have to have a paper record. And if we don't deal with it now, and that's why we're bringing it to your attention now, we're not going to die tomorrow. Nothing's going to blow up. But if we don't start planning something now, we're going to be in trouble. This is a way that we can kind of kill two birds with one stone. We can address what is now getting to be an uncomfortable issue with space for my YSOs. We could address that now at a very cost-effective way by doing this building together, finishing one end as office space and leaving the rest of it basically as open storage space. I have put a place in there for my juvenile storage, thanks to one, the county commission, but also donators. We've accumulated a lot of equipment we use for our summer work program. It keeps disappearing on me. Although we keep it in a locked up cage in the fence, it disappears on me. And I'd like to have a secure place to keep that. We've got some really nice equipment that we've been able to get through grants and otherwise that right now is in my garage because I don't trust it to sit in the trailer in the parking lot because I'm afraid it'll run away. So there is a little storage space there. We need to kind of think about probate as well as that. And this building would be something that we could do that with by extending out. So the reason why I talked about this company in particular, when I spoke with them, and did not promise them anything, I wanted to know what they could offer us. They can contract out for us full completion, turnkey if we want to. The other thing they can do is they can give us a price on material only. The one that I thought looked really interesting is we can do site prep ourselves for a pad and they'll come erect the building. And then we can contract out the different work we need done. So we could eliminate quickly the storage issue by having them erect the building. That's the insulation too. They do the insulation with that. Erect the building with insulation, leaving the 40 by 40 at the end for us to contract out how we need to do that through the bid process. But a company like this would probably be a lot more cost effective than going, and we don't have the same restrictions that we had at the Justice Center with having to meet TCI and having to meet federal code. We're talking about a storage building and an office building. In that office building, I want to build 2 holding cells. They don't have to be TCI holding cells. So that's the good way of doing that with my YSOs instead. So that's something we can do it in phases. I had mentioned before bringing some information to our grant writer, and I've been looking for this. I've had a bad couple of weeks with stuff happening, so I didn't get a chance to go back in. But there are Department of Justice grants specifically for facility, and a lot of them tailored toward juvenile. We can lump these together and write some grants. My theory has always been on grants is I'm going to budget myself everything I need in my budget. If I get a grant that sets aside that money, that's even better. So that's how I would suggest we look at it. But there are grants available, and I'll be getting those as quick as I can because they are a process with the DOJ grants. But we are eligible for quite a bit. Again, I've talked way too long, but Dwayna's need is more pressing immediately than the juvenile justice need. But I can serve these kids a lot better with that area. Okay?
What's the price tag?
Unfinished building was the best they quote me. The material quote is about $160,000 for the building. That's insulation and doors.
Okay, I understand what you mean with that, and that's not a bad price, $160,000. What about the heat and air? Don't you really need heat and air in this building?
Not in the part where we need insulation. It needs to be an insulated building, but
Yeah.
Eventually, you're gonna have it for the jails, right?
Well, you would for the 40 by 40 section is going to have to be fitted out as an office. So yeah, you're going to have heat and air cost and all that. That's what I'm saying. We can do that we could go ahead and do quotes and everything on that.
So you was at $160,000, right?
And that is just building material.
Okay. Gail, is litigation money allowed to be used for such projects as this?
that might be stretching it a little bit.
Well, what I'm asking is, how much do we have in litigation money right now?
There's almost 3 million, I think.
3 million. If it could be used, is that a possibility that as the commission, if they approve it, can be considered?
It's possible.
Because I see a big need right here. Not one, I see a
This
need.
is big enough.
That was my concern. You have a limit to the records we have at the annex, but you have them in other places as well.
I got about the election commission,
Right.
I got about the annex.
So that center section, you could fill up almost by moving.
That center set, well, the one that looks like a little door,
You, right?
that is locked secure
Right.
area for juvenile. Now, we can purge some, like general sessions, traffic, things like that. What I have to keep is juvenile, and then circuit, divorces, adoptions, things like that.
And listen, they've really been working on files through purchase.
I just don't want to build a building that 3 years from now we say, oh, we're packed again. What do? We have to start from scratch. I'd almost rather see us use the entire building for records and build a 40 by 40 building to meet your office needs and that. We keep air conditioning separate, we keep those buildings separate. You can get a 40 by 40 building for, a reasonable price there. Build that out. This would be just entirely records. Because we really didn't even talk about Teresa's records.
You're right.
Other than your
Probate, and she's got the chancery records too,
Right, you've
so
got
that's
chancery.
just as much.
You only
She
talked
can't
about the
do
one,
it.
so, I mean, my concern is that we're gonna fill that building. I love the whole idea. I would like to see you break out that end into a 40 by 40 another building and have that as a standalone.
I've always tried, when talking to the commission since I've been here, try to tell you what I think the pressing need is. The great thing about the purchase of that property you all made, it ensures us enough room to keep going like that. And that's the great thing about it. Would the separate building be better? I agree. I do. It would give her expansion space to start with. And, Teresa and I were just talking about this, I guess a couple of weeks ago when we were down there for court, that, where they're spread as well, it's going to be a problem.
I'm excited about the idea. I just think we need to have maybe a workshop or a planning meeting where we look at other options. The fireman in me says, okay, we're gonna fill a building with nothing but stuff we have to keep, which includes a lot of paper, a lot of this, ammunition, and everything else. Is there a sprinkler system in the building? And because it's paper, it really shouldn't be a water system, it should be a hayride system. I mean,
Well,
at what level do we have to protect these records, or are we allowed to just put them in the building and hope that they stay there?
Well, directly to answer that question, Loudoun County is going to tell us in about 2 months. Where they burnt,
Right.
they are under audit right now, and
So
it's going to
that's
tell us what we have to
That's
do.
what I'm saying. Maybe we put this building in, insulate it, and do that, and put your air conditioning, your other stuff, your toilets, your bathrooms, your office space in a separate building. I mean, and look at a whole plan to do what you want to do.
If you wanted to work with a company, and I'm not making a suggestion of a company, I literally found them on the internet, okay? But if you wanted to work, what they suggested, this particular company suggested, is because it is a government entity, have somebody approved, contact them, and they could give you all a presentation on what they could do. And I'm sure there's 15 other companies that would be willing to do that. This company just happened to be, they've got a Knoxville location that they fabricate at, or Knox County location they fabricate at.
They actually fabricate that?
They do, they're multi-state based, but they do actual fabrication there. Because I asked them that, I said, hey, if we bought from you all, would it come from Tennessee? And they said, well, not necessarily material, but we're going to make your plan. We're going to do out all your materials are going to come through here to be stamped out. It's metal, they just stamp them out. But if that's something, and that's why we brought it to the attention of now. We want to have some time for everybody to look into it, but that would be my suggestion to the board, is that you all either form a committee or authorize the mayor's office to make contact with providers to give us a presentation on what they could do and how they could do it. And maybe we start getting price per square foot.
Right.
So we know. A lot of the work, when I was looking at this, could be done, a guy with really, we got enough equipment sitting in the highway department to do a lot of the rough-in stuff before to get ready. Our lot, the great thing about where that space is there, they went ahead and did all the lot leveling there already. It's been compacted, it's had all the work done to it because that was going to be an extension of the parking lot. So that's just a benefit of using it there. I'm sorry, man.
Didn't mean to interrupt you, but I really believe what DJ just said. We need to have a big workshop on this, sit down with you folks and try to plan this thing out.
And
Maybe do some more homework on bigger
Yes,
building. I feel
yes.
like it's like I-40, they can get it built and we're already down tax.
And that'd be my worry
It's
too.
better.
Yeah.
It would be my worry too.
Office out of that gives us 40 by 40 to add on. I mean, that's almost her entire second.
Yeah, hers is 60 by 40. We based that off of my courtroom.
Right.
That's kind of how we came up with the square footage, because we got in there and said, if we put rack here, rack here, rack here, what can we do? And that was kind of what we came up as a minimum.
And right now, we're using Baker boxes and those old metal beds down there at the annex, so, I think I could.
2 before racks will be better than what we're doing.
Yeah, we can make it better.
Going to
put
tapes and getting
access.
a unit of 2 befores and building some racks would be a whole lot better than what we've got going right
Build
now.
out, we can spread.
Yeah, the build out.
Prisoners and others.
Right.
I mean, this would have to go to bid process, right? We just couldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah,
get bid specs together and
Right.
put it out for bid.
But we average on a week, I did it today, because we had a full week of court this week, and we average 350 cases a week in our building. So that's 350 files that we touch every
I don't think you have to sell the need anymore, it's just let's do it the right way.
Yeah,
Right.
and to give you an
Are
example,
we missing anybody else? I mean, are we missing record storage for elections? Are we missing record storage?
They're down there, but now there's
I'm
one,
just
there's
saying that.
still, the registered deeds and the trustee's office has got stuff down there too. There is tax books down there from
And so that's what I'm
it's either
saying, if we're missing
1845 or 1865. Now, those tax books could be moved to regular archives if there's room, but I mean,
You'll
it's
just
full
sell 'em.
too. It's full. I mean,
I have people that call me and say, can I bring some stuff for the, and I realize I'm on camera right here, for the DAR, the SAR, I'm thinking, really? And I've had to turn them away, and
Yeah.
just the basics.
well, I noticed those really old tax records down there, and they're in the 1800s, and they will, disappear. They're in pencil, so they're going to fade over time. They do need to be put in regular archives,
And
even if you had to
another
move something out that was newer.
Another discussion that needs to happen is we build this building, we need some kind
Yeah.
of air filtration and
Right.
dehumidifier. I mean, you're putting nothing but paper in there. And paper
Right.
and pencils, we gotta keep it for 100 years, but it only lasts 15.
Well, and I've been telling Judge, after I come to the county commission meetings, I'm like, they've done this, we've got this work program now, this workhouse program, they've got to be housed somewhere. I mean, that building sitting down there, remodeling it was built for a jail, so I get that, but we've got this,
well, it causes
we
us
gotta
to
do
panic.
something with what's in that building. And we gotta do it before rather than after. We can't sit it in the parking lot.
Well, I'll be honest, it got me panicking, because at the end of the day, I'm the one that has to go back through and say whether or not I've approved access or not. I don't want to be put in that situation. And I don't want to put anybody who's, there's
Right.
honest mistakes that happen, people walk in. And if it's not designated, they're going to walk into these areas.
Right.
And I don't want that to happen.
Did they give you a time frame how long a job like this would take?
They did not. They would not give me very much specifics at all, other than that general, that was based on square footage alone. They wouldn't give me a whole lot. They said they wanted to talk to somebody, because I said, I don't have authority to bind us to anything. I'm just asking questions, and they kind of gave me general stuff and told me to get back in touch with them.
I just think we need to have a big workshop.
Yeah.
They have to send us out, get somebody quicker to get it done.
But
We definitely, I'm in favor of the discussion, but we definitely have a whole lot. 160, not a bad price for that building. Do we need more? Do we need less? Do we need another building? And then everything else. I mean, We haven't talked concrete, we haven't talked,
And that did not include
Right,
pad,
so there's a lot more to it.
no labor in that was material.
160 is 200 right off the
Oh,
bat.
yeah.
I mean, and we haven't built the shelf or anything else, so.
But you made a good point. A lot of this stuff, we can use inmate labor. It's voluntary. They volunteer to do it.
Right.
But they can use inmate labor to do some of it. Especially when you're in the storage areas. Once you get your plan and you know what you're doing, there's labor down there to do those type of things. Obviously, we want to hire out. You don't want your inmates installing your sprinkler system.
Right.
But, but they can do things
They
like
can
that.
build the racks, they can do all this.
Site prep, they can do the site prep. So, I know there's such a bad taste in everybody's mouth over some of the things that happen with our justice center. Not everything, but some of the things that happen there. And it left a bad taste in people's mouth. We're not asking for a $30 million bill. We don't want a $30 million.
That's another.
Yeah. I know where that's coming at. I mean, I grew up with him, so I know what's happening there. But, we're not asking for, that's not what we're asking for. We're asking for reasonable space.
Sounds like.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that was clear.
And if Gail will check and see if the money can be used, the litigation money.
Judge Thomas, if all possible, and I know this is asking a lot too, like we were just discussing about the concrete, I wish we could get our local people to work instead of getting us out of county stuff. If we can get our local people to work, we're putting money back in our local people. That's just my idea.
When would you all like to do a workshop?
I'm all for that.
I'll work
I'm
it
all
out.
for that.
Well, we have.
I got some kids
budget
needing community
hearings
service
coming
work I
up
put out there
in
too.
April, so it can't be Monday, right, Gail?
Do you want to do it prior to the next commission meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Is
So-
there better times? But the sooner the better. We need to get started on it.
Well, and what is, the planning,
You all start voting.
next month, there's already that week in April.
Right. I mean, I'll work around these schedules.
Yeah. I remember you told me that.
Okay. I'll get it set up within the next couple of weeks, so we'll have plenty of time to think on it before the next commission meeting. And that'll give Gail an opportunity to research her information as well. Is that good? Okay.
And not to belabor the point, but we had 120 cases today. That's 120 case files. That's, say 10 pieces of paper just.
But you could've got more if you didn't come in.
Well, yeah. Don't say that, because the only reason I'm here on time is that she scheduled me to be here. She made sure her clerks got it done.
I'm just teasing.
But,
This is
it's a need.
well needed thing. I'm glad you opened this debate.
I'll try my best never to throw smoke at anybody. It's just not the thing to do, but it is something that we desperately need. So, thank you all.
Thank you, Judge.
Hey, that's shorter than normal. I usually can't say the name in 20 minutes.
I'm glad we didn't give you a half hour.
I know. That was my 5 minutes. I'm done, sir.
We have a Christopher Jones. It's 32611. Mr. Jones.
Thank you all for seeing me tonight. My name is Chris Jones, 1301 Mecca Pike. I'm the owner of Mecca Camp Resort in Tellico Plains. I'm coming to you tonight just to speak to you a little bit about the County Planning Commission and their lack of enforcement that they have within the county itself. And as you can probably be aware, a planning commission that has no enforcement authority is not a commission that can do much. And so I'm coming to you today to talk to you about that part of it. Subdivisions in the county of Monroe County, they are a planned out community. And RV parks, mobile home parks are considered subdivisions per the county regulations. And there is a lot of work that goes into doing all of that stuff. So when you have one guy that's doing it one way and follows the rules here, but you got 8 others over here that don't do it and follow the rules, there's no enforcement authority, there's no granularity, there's no accountability to any of the county services or the cities that are supporting them with water, sewer, any of that stuff. The creation and approval of certified site plans, licenses, permits costs thousands of dollars. Anybody and their brother can go down to the co-op and rent an excavator for $150 for a weekend and thinks they can build an RV park and put 5 sites in it, but that's against that's against the regulations in Monroe County. It has to be created, site plan certified, and then put before the board before you're granted authorization to go build those things. Since 2020, there's been 9 new RV parks that have been put in Monroe County. Some of them are still under development. There's another 5 that are being proposed to do work, and none of this is taking place. There's only 2 of those campgrounds that have actually been through the Planning Commission process. One is mine, and the other is the sheriff's, or the sheriff's wife's campground in Vonnoh. And so that's troubling to see. There's been a lot of growth in this county. There's a lot more to come. But with all of these things that happen, and if you just put something in that's a commercial property, they're not asking you to go out to Monroe County Planning Commission and get certified. They're not paying their taxes either for it, for the hotel motel tax, all of those things. And that's a loss to the county. So I'm here to ask you to consider taking into account the enforcement of the regulations around the Planning Commission body. Right now, the Planning Commission has no authority to do anything or to set action that will be attributable to somebody making a difference in what we provide as a whole in Monroe County. I would hate to see us just allow anything to happen in Monroe County because we have not created an enforcement authority to do so. The county doesn't have it. The state can enforce. They enforce everything, and they have a way to do it. Even the cities have enforcement authorities. Heck, Tellico Plains, we have an enforcement authority for their new zonings. But we can't seem to figure that out in the county. And so I'm asking you to consider bringing an executable methodology to provide enforcement for the county regulations for these types of things. So this would be attributable to all commercial related entities. We have people that are, we've gone through examples where the ministry, the Fresh Start Ministries comes to a Planning Commission meeting and requests, what do I need to do to put RV spots here so that they can go ahead and service the needy? But then the guy down the road from me goes ahead and buys 8 campers and throws them on his property, 5 acres, doesn't tell a dime, doesn't tell a soul, just puts them there, starts renting them out. But we've just told a nonprofit entity that they have to follow these regulations, but yet we haven't enforced anything on the person or the body that has built this non-regulated park. So I'm asking you guys to empower the Monroe County Planning Commission, allow them to provide authority over what is built from a commercial property perspective, and then additionally go through the process and make it aware that there are regulations in Monroe County for commercial-based entities or properties that are up for resale. It can't be just a single person that is making a decision that says, oh, you want to go build that, go ahead and go build that. So I'm here to ask that just because I am a firm believer of all of us playing on the same equal ground. We're seeing some of these plans come into the counties and into areas like Tellico, which cannot support some of these big parks and some of these big things because they don't have the water to do it, they don't have the sewer infrastructure to do it, and it's going to cause a big problem down the road if we don't start thinking about how we can enforce these regulations. So with that being said, that was my speech. But I'm happy to answer any questions. We went through this from the start when we started building the campground, and we followed every letter of the law. We asked for one variance from the county commission, which they granted, which was that we couldn't afford to pave all the roads because it would cost us $200,000 just to pave a road in our campground. And this is just an endeavor my wife and I did out of our own pockets. This is our future. But I'm not a developer from Knoxville or a party of 8 that comes in with multiple different pieces of money. I'm just a guy that wanted to live in the mountains and own a campground one day in his life and be able to say that I no longer had to be a government contractor. So with that being said, that's my deal. I'd be open to any questions or discussion if you have any.
Any questions?
I'd just like to comment, Mr. Jones is former teacher. I was told by a colleague one time, whatever you do when you discipline your class, remember what you do to one individual, you've got to do to all.
That's exactly my
what
point.
we need to do, and I realize there's some people out here probably thinking this is going off on a tangent, but if we will make one of them pay taxes and do it the right way, everybody That's all I have to do.
Absolutely.
Good presentation, really appreciate it.
It is,
Um,
thank you. And there's a problem.
There is, and if I may, Mr. Jones is correct in a lot of what he said tonight. And to be honest with you, believe it or not, Monroe County is a little bit ahead of the curve on the fact that we even have an RV park resolution, an ordinance that addresses some of those things. And some of our surrounding counties are taking ours as a model, but they're having to work from what they have, because I spoke with the county attorney just in the last couple of weeks about ours because it has some holes in it. And I'm obviously not going to voice all those holes out here because then people will take those holes and run with them. It does have some holes in it. This would be my suggestion to this body. The RV park and the mobile home resolution or ordinance is in one document body. That needs to be separated for one. Mobile homes and RV parks are not the same, although they do have some similarities. It needs to be separated. It also needs to be gone through and address some of the terminology. Just sitting with our attorney, he and I back and forth over what's this term mean, what's this term mean? What is this, what is this? And if I, who am not an attorney, can get him to go, that's a good question. Maybe we need to do, there is some things that need to be addressed. What I would suggest to you all, to hand it to the planning commission, to work through that document, find some things that are not right, some things that are, there are some things that are right in it, and begin to work from there. I know Travis is actually on the Monroe County Planning Commission. Roger is too. I think maybe we need to start there, bring it back to the commission as a workshop and say, these are the things that we've determined that need to be fixed. What do you all think? And I'd be glad to kind of work toward that because Mr. Jones is correct. There are RV parks popping up, not just in Monroe County, but throughout the state of Tennessee because it seemed to be a lucrative business. It was a way to make quick money. A lot of people sold their homes and they're living in RVs. So there are some things that need addressed, and I'm glad that he's brought it to light because it needs to be brought to light and some things need to be fixed.
Based on what he said, I don't disagree at all. I think that's a great way to move forward. I would wonder if we as a body could ask the mayor's office to make that recommendation to the planning committee so that they do that work and then bring something to us for the workshop at their earliest convenience after the budget, understanding that if I hear something by October, November, I'm going to be bringing it up again. But I mean, you know, if we start the year with this conversation and maybe go into 2025 with change of rules and something. So that's what I would like to see. It's just my voice.
I think it's important to note to this point is that you know, yes, there's an issue within the regulations themselves that do need to be separated, which we're fine with. I was fine with it when I built the park. I took it and I took it for word, and that's how I built it. But the enforcement doesn't start there. There still has to be an enforcement authority that would be able to enforce those regulations that we set forward in that piece of paper. Otherwise, it's just a piece of paper. So what I'm asking you really is to create an enforcement authority that's actionable. And sure, the commission, we can go ahead and we can create the new document. If we can create the new regulations, me as a campground owner can provide input into that commission. I'm happy to do that. I've been doing that. But it is nothing unless you guys create an enforcement authority. This isn't the Wild West. It's got to be thought and planned out. I mean, you wouldn't build a neighborhood without it going through planning of some sort. So why would you build a park?
I'd like to see the representatives in this area be brought into the workshop as well, or invited, because again, the commission has no authority if the legislature doesn't grant it, and so they need to be in on this conversation as well.
The commission
don't have the ability to set certain rules. They need to champion that right for the commission.
Yeah, the commission doesn't even have a regular meeting every month. Like, we can't, it's not even attended every month. So, you know, one, we got to reorganize the commission, but two, we got to address the regulations themselves But three, we need your help to create an authoritative body that will go ahead and regulate this.
And that could be part of your discussion.
It would be. If you read the ordinance, there actually is a small enforcement, but it doesn't say how that happens, when that happens, what the trigger points are. And, you know, our other surrounding counties are getting those trigger points put into theirs, and we may have to pull from that information. Obviously, our attorney, when you're talking about legal action against somebody, would have to be in the middle of that conversation, but he's absolutely correct. But it is not a Monroe County only problem. It's happening everywhere across the state, and something that commissions all over are having that discussion. They're calling the office asking if they can get copies of ours, things like that, so.
So this is a workshop you'd like to do at the beginning of the new budget season, let you get through budget planning?
Yeah, I mean, October, November.
Okay.
Give them time as a planning commission to do it. Give Stacy time to look up, bring up rules, give the mayor time to weigh in, and then bring it back to us. Let's have a workshop and discuss it.
Yeah, it's important to note that this has been brought up before with the mayor's office on a recommendation from the planning commission, and there's been no action to this point. So, you know, I'm all for it. I'd love to participate, but we got to do something.
We've got 15 new ones coming up, seems like. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much.
I want to say something, if I can I? We are responsible, Larry's office collects the hotel motel tax every month. And I just feel like y'all need to know this. I never met Mr. Jones until he brought his application to apply. But they pay, which that's confidential, but they give to the county every month and the state of Tennessee sales tax. Their CPA gets it to our office every month early. Now, we're aware, they're just popping up, they're coming in registering that all the time. And what Brian said is so true. Why should he have to do this if, you know, you can drive around now everywhere, they're everywhere. I mean, it's a problem. And we ask them to pay, and they should look at us and say who's gonna do something. But anyway, I just wanted to say, I never met Mr. Jones, but now, they pay us good money, and Benji needs money to build that building, and that's a lot where you get it.
All right, you're not working on the budget now.